Hi guys, welcome to my first thoughts on the new cards that have been spoiled today for the next set for Star Wars Unlimited, Shadows of the Galaxy. So let's start with the Mandalorian, who comes in as a 6 resource 4/7 in yellow rebel colours. He has an ability which says when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less remaining HP. And as a unit, he comes in with the same stats obviously, and says when you play an upgrade you may exhaust an enemy unit with 6 or less remaining HP. So the Mandalorian looks to be leaning into upgrades, which to be honest, we haven't seen a lot of that in upgrades haven't seen a lot of play in set 1. He's the first leader to really synergize with upgrades like this, and as we're going to discuss with some of the other cards later, it looks like FFG are going to be pushing upgrades a bit harder in the upcoming set. So in terms of his aspect, he's cunning and rebel. So that currently doesn't give you a lot of options to choose from with upgrades or to synergize with. But we'll have to wait and see because they're probably going to add more in the rest of the set. In terms of his stats, 4/7 are good. It's basically Bobber, but coming down 1 turn later. He has high health, difficult to remove, and his attack is respectable. Is his ability going to be relevant? Currently, if you were to drop him into the game, I don't think he'd be a top tier leader, as there just aren't enough good command rebel upgrades to make him worthwhile. That being said, the ability is nice because it is passive. To activate it, you just need to play the upgrade. It's not like there's some kind of separate action. You don't have to exhaust him specifically. And there are some quite impactful units at 4 HP or less. Some things I'm thinking of off the top of my head: Sabine, K2SO, Fifth Brother, those kind of things. So it's probably going to be quite useful. I mean, as it stands, what kind of deck would he go in? I think if you're looking to exhaust things, if you're looking to try and drag the game out longer, you're probably looking at more of a control strategy. Yeah, or possibly mid-range. We'll have to wait and see what the rest of the cards look like. So next up we have Moff Gideon, who comes in as a 5 resource 3/6. This is his unit card, sorry. So he comes in as a 5 resource 3/6. He has an ability which says exhaust the leader, attack with a unit costs 3 or less. If it's attacking a unit, it gets +1 for this attack. And when deployed, he gets overwhelm, and that ability becomes a passive. And it says each friendly unit that costs 3 or less gets +1 and gains overwhelm while attacking an enemy unit. So he comes down a turn earlier than the Mandalorian as a 3/6, so pretty respectable stats. He's a command villain, so he's green villain. He has natural access to ramp, Shore Troopers, Darth Vader, some really solid cards. In my mind, reading his ability, it seems like he should be going for an aggro strategy. He's coming down relatively early. His ability seems to be centered on doing more damage with small things, although saying that, the ability is focused on trading, so trading with minions rather than going for the base. So maybe he is more of a mid-range card. Difficult to know at the moment without having played with him. At first glance, if this is an aggro strategy, it looks a bit slow to me, and I think if he was dropping into the game today, I don't think he would be near the top of the meta. I think he would probably be tier 2 or 3. Again, there might be more synergies coming down the line, but unless I'm missing something, he doesn't seem all that impactful. If the ability was always a passive, that would probably be too strong, but getting to do +1 damage on 1 attack seems a bit too slow and weak to me. Next up we have the Mandalorian's Rifle. So this is a 3-cost upgrade. When played, and it's in the Rebel only, so any Rebel can play this. When played, if attached unit is the Mandalorian, he captures an exhausted enemy non-leader unit. And it says put the captured card face down under him until he leaves play. So it's kind of like a temporary removal effect really. And it has +3 attack and +0 HP. So obviously this is some synergy with Mandalorian's ability that we were talking about earlier. Playing this on the Mandalorian as a leader or a unit and capturing one unit and exhausting another is a very big tempo swing. It's quite a powerful play to make, and already something which makes the Mandalorian seem a bit better. On the flip side, played on any other character, this weapon is a lot less impactful. Giving no health at all is a massive downside, and to be honest, I can't see this being played in any non-Mandalorian decks, unfortunately. Next up we have the Razor Crest. So this is a 4-cost 3/4 in Blue Rebel, and it has the ability Restore 2, and when played you may return an upgrade from a discard pile to your hand. So I'm a bit torn on this card. I think in a vacuum it's probably not that strong. The stats for the costs are average. They're the same as the Strafing Gunship. The yellow card. Restore 2 is quite nice, and it usually puts a target on a unit's back, because if you're restoring 2 health every turn, that's quite annoying for your opponent. Being in space also makes it a bit more difficult to snipe down usually. The when played ability it currently doesn't feel super impactful. Right now, if you were to play this, you could maybe, you bring back a Jedi lightsaber or something. But if you want that badly, if you want that upgrade that badly, you're probably running 3 anyway. The reason I think this card might have a place in the future in Blue Heroes is that the Blue Heroes currently lack a good 4-drop space unit. So this kind of fills a void there. If you're building a sustain deck to try and make it to the late game, it might slot in with the sort of health gain. Might be having a small impact, but I don't think this is going to be a big, meta break or anything like that. It's just a solid card. So next up we have Grogu, who comes in as a 2-cost 0/5 in Yellow Rebels, and has an action exhaust this unit, and you can exhaust an enemy unit. So ignoring the fact that the art has somehow given him an extra finger, whoops, he's quite an intriguing card. 5 health in the early game is really difficult to get through. With the exception of Force Choke, you're nearly always going to be needing to go 2 for 1 into him. But he doesn't have any attack, so when you do trade with him, it's trading for free essentially. So something I noticed about him, importantly, his ability doesn't stay non-leader units. So if your opponent does ignore him, he can come back and bite you basically. So I think, playing him down and every turn being able to exhaust an enemy unit, I don't think your opponent can ignore Grogu, which kind of, you can think about it a little bit like he's got Sentinel. So, but he doesn't trade with anyone. So it's a funny one. What kind of game plan does he fit in with? Well, again, like Mando, it seems to be kind of a sort of stall control type strategy, which is nice because I don't think we had a yellow control hero in the first set, so maybe that's what they're going with Mandalorian. Thematically, I think he's quite good as well. Next up we have Gideon's Light Cruiser, which comes in as an 8-cost villain card, 7/8, Overwhelm, and when played, if you control Moff Gideon as leader or unit, play a villain card from your that costs 3 or less from your hand or discard pile for free. So first things first, you're never playing this in a non-Gideon deck. You're just not, there's no point. Then the question is, are we going to play it in a Gideon deck? Well, based on what we've seen, Gideon is pushing an aggro strategy. This card certainly doesn't fit into an aggro strategy. Also, big things that cost 8 resources really need to have a massive impact on the game for you to be able to play them effectively. Does playing a 3-cost unit from your hand or discard pile have a massive effect on the game? Probably not. In all likelihood, you're not going to have time to play this, and I don't think it's a good card. But having said all that, you could see a world where you play it down and you play a cell block guard for 3. Maybe that's good enough, but to me, it's not completely unplayable, but it's really not very good either, unfortunately. Now the next card is very good. In my opinion, this is the best card revealed today. It's a 3-cost 3/3 with Sentinel in green villain, and has an ability, when combat damage is dealt to this unit, give an experience token to this unit, if it survives the damage. So this is a cell block guard with an upside. So it's a bit of power creep that we're seeing already in set 2. The upside is actually pretty strong. If your opponent can't one-shot this, then it just becomes bigger and it gets more difficult to deal with. And when it trades with your opponent's minions, if you trade favourably, say you attack into a 2/3, then this gains an experience token. So it takes 2 damage and becomes a 3/1, and then it gains +1, so it becomes a 4/2. So it's just really annoying for your opponent. And because it's in green, it gets to play with Energy Conversion Lab as well. So yeah, and this card will definitely see play. And lastly, we've got a 4-cost blue villain event called Calculated Lethality. It says defeat a non-leader unit that costs 3 or less. for each upgrade that was on that unit, give an experience token to a friendly unit. This one's interesting because we already have quite a lot of good single target removal in blue. But this, it's good. It can snipe down a bobber unit card. It can kill a lot of things at this stage of the game. At the present time, the upgrade part of the ability of the event doesn't seem super relevant, but in the future, as decks are running more upgrades, which they seem like they might in this set, it might be more relevant, and it might slot into blue control decks. It might take the place of a takedown, for example. So that's all of the cards that were revealed today, I think. I might have missed some. If I have missed some, let me know in the comments. Yeah, thanks for watching. Just my early thoughts, really. I've got a video coming out soon about, it's a deck building guide. It's more focused on beginners and intermediate players, but anyone can watch it and might enjoy it. Yeah, thanks for watching.